The views, opinions, and information shared during the KC Youth Services podcast series belong solely to the individuals involved. Any recommendations or advice given during the podcast is general in nature and does not replace the need to seek professional advice where necessary. If you are in need of urgent assistance, please call 000 or the Kids Helpline on 1800 55 1800.
The City of Casey proudly acknowledges the traditional owners, Casey's Aboriginal communities and their rich culture, and pays respect to the elders past, present and future. We acknowledge Aboriginal people as Australia's first peoples and as the traditional owners and custodians of the land on which we work and live. I would also like to acknowledge that we are recording this podcast today gratefully on Bunurong country.
Hey everyone, and welcome to Season 4, Episode 9 of KC Youth Services Podcast. We're your hosts today. My name's Tessa.
And I'm Stephen. Our special guest today is Peter, who is one of the awesome facilitators of the Mancave program run out of Narre Youth Information Centre. Welcome, Peter.
Hello, Tessa. Hello, Stephen. Thank you so much for inviting me here. I'm so happy to be here.
Thanks for coming.
Cool. All right. Well, we've got a few questions for you. Let's kick it off with, what was your most prized possession as a young person, and do you still currently have it?
I tell you, that is actually a really tough question because I'm a bit of a collector. Not quite a hoarder, but a collector. It's only really a problem when I move houses and I realize I have a whole bunch of different souvenirs from my life. So to really pin it down into one singular item, I would have to rack my brain a bit because I guess something that's kind of been with me since I was very, very young, I'd actually would say would be my PlayStation 1, which still functions. Video games has really been a nice outlet for me my entire life. So to still have like a really nice retro video game console, something that can't connect to the internet, especially in this age where everything's online. I think that's also pretty handy to know that if I'm playing on my PlayStation 1, no one's like tracking my data or anything. It's just me, the PlayStation 1, this complete video game. So obviously I do enjoy going on like hikes and whatnot to disconnect, but also if I'm at home and want to disconnect, I might go to my PlayStation 1.
It's definitely a cool answer. I remember the old memory cartridges that you had to put into those.
That's right.
Yeah, if you want to save a game, you had to be very mindful what you were going to save and how much.
Yeah.
So Tessa, do you have anything that you can recall?
I still have my PlayStation 1.
Amazing.
Looking at the memory cards is so funny because it's like 15 megabytes and things like that. It's nothing. But I would have to say my Pokemon cards.
Oh.
I still have them in plastic sleeves, which I feel like was pretty rare for someone as young as I was when I first got them. They're in perfect condition. I still add to the collection. But yeah, I love them. I've still got them.
I mean, hey, good on you for putting them in plastic sleeves way back when. I just reminded myself something that I actually did lose when I was younger. I think it was my original cartridge of Pokemon Leaf Green.
Ooh.
That was maybe the first Pokemon game I really got into. I don't know what happened one time I went somewhere and then it disappeared. And lost forever. But I had good memories in there too.
Yeah, speaking of lost forever, Lego was a big thing for me. And there were 3 particular sets. They were all castle sets. And I had those in the mid to late 80s. And as growing up, you decide you grow out of things, and I gave them all away. So as an adult, I've managed to get them back at some point through different spaces like eBay. So yeah, I have them back again, which is awesome. Yeah, fond memories of that as a kid.
Amazing.
I've done that with a few of my older things and have some regrets now. But, oh well, it's in the past. I've come to terms with it, kind of. All right. Our listeners may have seen you before in some of our science videos on our socials or at Mancave. Peter, can you tell our listeners about Mancave and a little bit about your role in the program and how you got into being a mad scientist?
All right. Well, first of all, I have to say it was an absolute blast being in that volcano video. Really enjoyed that. I'm glad that's out there and a fun little video. I really do recommend checking it out if I don't mind tooting my own horn. But yeah, moving on about the Mancave. The Mancave has a really simple premise. It's just about hosting a safe space for young men to find somewhere where they can belong. I think that's the real premise that's carried through the entire, 8 years now that the Mancave has been running for. So how I got into the program was because I was originally volunteering with the KC Youth Action Committee. And then after my second year there, I was approached by youth worker Chris McKenna to be a mentor for the Mancave. I was actually a little bit surprised to be asked to be a mentor, but I said, why not? You know, if you give an opportunity like that to impact somebody else's life, I think you should definitely take it if you have the time, and I did. Yeah, so my role is a young mentor, and when Mancave started, I was only 19 years old, so I'm sure I do have a role in terms of organizing different sessions, what the program might contain, but really I think my role as a young mentor was just to kind of have a more implicit impact on those participants. So the Mancave is a program for young men aged between, say, 13 and 18 to equip them with the skills required for adulthood, to help them develop. And so I think my role in the Mancave is just to kind of be an upstanding kind of role model for them.
Yeah, it definitely is one of the fellow facilitators of Mancave at times. I've seen a lot of respect given to Peter. So yeah, you do a fantastic job there.
Thank you. And I guess to talk about how I got into being a mad scientist, been a bit of a long journey, I think, going from, I guess, in school, you kind of are exposed to so many different interests and hobbies and everything. And I think science has kind of been the last man standing in terms of what hobbies do I want to keep that are just going to be hobbies, and which of my interests do I want to have as a career. And so I think science has kind of been the one interest that I've maintained as my kind of job or career. So I've kind of dwindled away, say, sport or music or video games or, like, say, I don't know, or art. Everything else is just is a hobby, whereas science is the career and the job.
I love that you've been able to turn a hobby into a career. That's fantastic.
Yeah. Well, it's a lot of hard work in terms of study. I definitely spent a long time studying. I'm still studying now, and I'm 27, so yeah, it's been a long time.
Awesome. Thanks, Peter. Look, is there one experience that really stands out in your time participating in the different activities you take part in with the City of Casey?
It's really hard to pick one experience because I feel like I've really become a combination of, I think, of my almost 10 years of volunteering with the City of Casey. I think going back to the moment when I was asked to be a mentor for the Mancaves, that was really caught me by surprise a little bit, because sure, I had spent 2 years in the Youth Action Committee. I was just kind of, I had just turned 18, just become an adult, so to speak, and being asked to kind of then maybe pass on the torch to then be offered an opportunity to help other people. I think that was kind of a real moment where I kind of thought to myself, like, it's a real milestone, because I'd spent my life in that point learning from other people and never really being able to give back. But then being asked to volunteer for the Mancave, I think, was kind of a passing of the torch moment for me. Another moment perhaps would be being part of the colour run that Casey had run a long time ago. That was really special. I think that was when we saw the Youth Action Committee really produce a massive event for the local community.
Yeah, I've seen pictures from that. It looked really awesome. I wish amazing. I could have been there. All right. Peter, we know that you are not, in fact, a mad scientist. With all the studying, how do you manage to keep yourself on track and still make time to be a mentor and attend the programs you're a part of within the council? And what brought you into this line of study? I guess you kind of answered that previously, but if you want to add on to it, you can.
Yeah, I can talk a little bit more into detail about how I'm specifically in computational chemistry and whatnot. So, yeah, so I am studying in what's called computational chemistry, or quantum chemistry, if you want to sound a bit cooler about it.
Definitely.
So, yeah, like I said, I've had a long process kind of eliminating different interests that have become hobbies instead of like my career. And I've kind of done the same thing actually within science itself. So when I was in high school, I was actually a bit more interested in becoming a doctor, more so than maybe a physicist or a chemist. In university, I ended up studying science research, and then I had 3 topics: mathematics, physics, chemistry. Eventually, mathematics fell by the wayside, and then it became between physics and chemistry. Then I ended up just pretty much picking something that's both of them combined. So I think how I might have ended up here looking at quantum chemistry, which is like looking at how molecules interact, is because I'm a fan of extremes, things that are beyond what you can experience with the naked eye, and just I guess within the usual realm of experiences. So being able to look at how molecules interact and knowing that those interactions build up towards what we are seeing right now and what the world is today, I think is really, really cool. I think in an alternate universe, I probably would have been studying astrophysics because that's the other extreme, right? I'm looking at very, very small structures, whereas astrophysics is all about what's out there in the universe.
The beyond.
The beyond. Yeah, and I guess talking about how I manage myself, it's I manage myself mainly through a lot of introspection and reflection. I'm always listening to kind of just how I'm feeling and how I'm doing, and always trying to improve myself, I think, is something that's very important to me, to always keep learning, no matter how old I get. And so something I've learned, I think pretty early on, is that I can't keep doing the same thing for a long amount of time, and I dislike repetition in a sense of like, I kind of have to keep changing things up a little bit. So I can't spend one entire day doing the one thing. I need a good work-life balance. And so, yeah, being a part of the Mancave, volunteering within the city of Casey, playing sports, whatnot, that's all part of a work-life balance, which actually keeps me in a better mood, I think, than trying to do the one thing over and over.
Sounds like curiosity is a big thing, and constant movement and motion.
Yeah, essentially, yeah. I don't like rest is very important. I think it's worth saying that, you definitely need to have some rest within your day, but if you can help it, if you feel like you have the ability to go and do something, I think, why not do it?
Sounds like you have some good wisdom as a mentor to some young people within the city of Casey to pass along. It's a type of self-care to make sure they don't burn themselves out, which is kind of easy to say but hard to learn. So to have you as a figure there for them is awesome.
I'm not saying that I'm perfect either, but I'm constantly trying to learn and improve as well.
So how have you stayed motivated to study for so long, with all the distractions, etc.?
Yeah, I will say there's been many, many distractions over the past few years. Everyone that's listening knows what I'm talking about, where I started my PhD and then a pandemic struck worldwide, which has been a massive distraction. How I stay motivated is thinking about why I'm studying. I'm not studying for anyone really but myself, I think, and for my own interest. I think it's important when you consider why you're doing something, like, is whether or not you're passionate about it. And every time I think about my study, every time I think about this study is really difficult, I really just go back down to my passion, and I do find it. I do find my passion for chemistry. I find my passion to learn and study. That's what keeps me motivated. Another way that I stay motivated is thinking about, I guess, my future, my career, where I try to imagine myself doing any other kind of job. It's really hard for me to see myself doing anything but kind of studying as an academic, to be honest. So.
That's great. You have that ability to refocus and come back to that, and it drives. That's cool.
I think it's really important because it's very easy, I think, for maybe myself and other people to just kind of lose that a little bit and kind of get stressed out over something. And then, I think it's very important to catch yourself, reflect, and work from there.
So I guess like setting mini goals in a way.
Yeah, absolutely. I think everyone's heard about SMART goals that are small, achievable, and whatnot. I think that's definitely the way to go.
Definitely. What is one thing you would tell a younger version of yourself to do if you could travel back in time?
Oh, what? Okay.
Big question.
How young? How young are we talking here? What age of past Peter are we talking to?
I don't know. What do you think, Stephen?
Let's go with entering high school, because a lot of I think that's a good age.
It's a big moment.
Yeah, okay. Entering high school, because during high school, I went through a lot of difficulties in terms of bullying and whatnot in high school. And I think I would probably tell my younger self entering high school to not forget who you are, because eventually how I ended up feeling comfortable in high school was really just realizing like who I am and like, I don't know, my sense of humor, my personality, and really just kind of leaning into that. And I think that's what kind of helped me, felt like I belong in school more often, not trying to be just whatever like the cool kids were or whatever they were doing. Yeah, it took a while in high school. So I think, I would tell my younger self entering high school, just, don't forget who you are. You're a cool person. Just stick at it and respect will come to you.
I love that response. Just be yourself.
Really, I think so, because if you fake it too much, you're ruining yourself a bit.
So, Pete, I just wanted to say thank you again for coming on. It's been a pleasure having you on and getting your insights.
I mean, I want to say thank you to both for having me here. I'm so happy.
Yeah, hopefully some of your wisdom will help some of our listeners if they're looking to go into studying soon, how to keep themselves with it and also look after themselves.
Absolutely. Yeah, I do hope everyone is taking care of themselves. That's probably most important in these times.
Definitely.
Fantastic. Look, as always, all appropriate links will be attached to the show notes. To stay up to date with all the exciting things happening in KCU services, please feel free to follow, like and share on our social media accounts at KC Youth Services.
And also feel free to drop into the KC Youth Information Centres. They're all open from 1:30 p.m. generally until 5:15 p.m. Hampton Park does have extended hours if you want to check that out. But yeah, look at our website for more details if you'd like to pop in and say hi. We're always happy to meet new people.
And until next time, take care and stay safe.